Good evening to one and all of you. Today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give a fresh perspective about cholesterol. So right now, so we know many things about cholesterol and statins. Just I have a different perspective about cholesterol and statins. So I want to show you in a different, in opposite kind of view. Okay. See, right now, see, once upon a time we used to believe that Earth is flat. Fine. Okay. See, right now, so we question the dogma. So right now we came to know that Earth is round. So like that, I feel that in science we should question the status quo. Otherwise, the science will never progress. See, science only progresses if you question the present dogma. If you don't question the status quo, science will never progress. These are my thoughts. And always look at the other side of the coin. Look in the opposite direction to learn a new perspective. Every word I'm speaking in this topic is backed by evidence-based medicine, which is published in respected journals. And there's a disclaimer for this talk. This talk is purely for educational purpose and to stir a discussion among doctors regarding the other side of statins and importance of cholesterol in our daily lives. Please follow your textbook guidelines and professional society guidelines while prescribing statins. Okay. See, as you see in this screen, most of the research studies, no? See, you can see this, no? They observe day 1, day 10, day 20, day 30 of quarantine, and you are putting on weight and you are having abdominal obesity. But what the conclusion of the research studies, they say, no? They say that quarantine makes your feet smaller. So you're not able to see the bigger picture. So right now, the research studies, what we are seeing, we are not able to see the bigger picture. Just see, by seeing this study, we are concluding that, okay, but quarantine makes your feet smaller. But the feet are not getting smaller. You're having a lot of abdominal obesity. You're getting a lot of fat around your stomach. Your abdomen is increasing. That is a real finding. But many research studies, they interpret this study as the quarantine makes your feet smaller. And guilt by association. For nearly 5 decades, those in medicine have been taught that cholesterol was the culprit in cardiovascular disease because it was found in atherosclerotic plaques. See, whenever there is a fire, there is a fire engine and there is a fireman. They want to douse the fire. So you can't say that. So I have seen 100 fire incidents, and in every incident I have seen a fireman, and you can't assume that fireman is causing the fire everywhere. Okay. So guilt by association was the primary justification for the decision back in the mid 50s to force upon us the infamous low fat, low cholesterol diet. Like a deep earlobe crease, pot belly, premature vertex baldness, and hundreds of other items. In elevated cholesterol is statistically associated with an increased incidence of heart attacks. However, association never proves causation. Remember that. And now 50 years later, the prevalence of atherosclerosis remains unchanged. Okay, so a delusion is a false belief held with conviction despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary. In the medical field, no delusion has wider acceptance and a longer run than the belief that cholesterol levels in the blood are a major factor in the causation of atherosclerosis and its two complications, heart attack and stroke. It is known as lipid hypothesis or cholesterol theory. The seeds of delusion were sown in the late 19th century by German pathologist named Virchow. He performed chemical analysis on arterial plaques taken from dead bodies and discovered that they contain large amounts of cholesterol. He theorized that cholesterol from blood infiltrated the walls of arteries and thus caused the atherosclerosis there. The entire fiasco was fueled by a scientist named Ancel Keys and his studies of the eating habits of people residing in Italy and surrounds, and his belief that a low dietary cholesterol was the secret of supposed CV benefits of Mediterranean diet. So firmly believed that his hypothesis that even some of the 14 of his 22 studies failed to support it. Just remember, 14 of his 22 studies failed to support it. He disregarded them. When his data finally was presented to the Washington decision makers, it was solely based upon 7 country studies that agreed firmly with his belief, and it became America's national diet. And even he commented, just as Ancel Keys, the fabricator of this cholesterol myth, there is no connection whatsoever between cholesterol in food and cholesterol in blood. And we know that all along. Your body synthesizes cholesterol. Cholesterol is very important part of your body. Your liver synthesizes cholesterol. In your brain also synthesizes cholesterol. See how the studies comes. This study is published in 1984. Okay, remember the year 1984. It is called as LRC CPPT trial. It screened about a 500,000 middle-aged men and selected about 3,800 with the highest cholesterol levels. Half were given cholesterol, a bile sequestrant resin that lowers cholesterol, and half a placebo. And after 10 years, the number of dying from coronary heart disease plus those suffering from non-fatal MI were total for both groups. The total incidence in cholesterol group was 7%, and the control group is 8.6%. There's a small difference of 1.6%. So how they spinned it, the small difference of 1.6% was reported as 19% reduction in death and heart attack by using relative risk reduction. So actually, you should see for absolute risk reduction. These guys. So how the 19% came? Because the difference of 1.6% is roughly 19% of 8.6. So this, you have seen this. So there is only difference of 1.6%. The absolute risk reduction is 1.6%, and they convert into relative risk reduction. They say that there is 90% reduction in death and heart attacks. So this is how the statistics they report. So these are the magic of statistics. Okay. See, I will tell you another magic of statistics. A study revealed that if you take statin every day for the next 5 years, your risk of heart attack will be reduced by over 1/3, which sounds very appealing. The study actually found a 34% reduction in relative risk. So what you're not told is that after 5 years, 2.7% of patients taking this drug had a heart attack compared to 4.1% taking a placebo. So which is an absolute risk reduction of only 1.4%. So which is less attractive. So they say the relative risk reduction of 34%. In addition, 71 people would have to take this every day for 5 years to prevent one person from having a heart attack. And we don't know that it is you. So this is the magic of statistics, okay? They talk about relative risk reduction. So they say 34% reduction in relative risk, which is very appealing. But when you see the real data, the absolute risk reduction is just 1.4%. The difference between placebo and the drug you take. Fine? Okay. So they say there are 3 types of lies. One is lies, one is damn lies, other is statistics. In analysis of 6 major statin trials, Excel, 4S, VASCAPS, CARE, AFCAPS, Lipid, the reduction of CV mortality ranged from minus 19% to minus 41% when expressed as relative risk. When you say in the absolute risk reduction, it is just 0.1 to 3.5%, which you even don't care. The statistical manipulation to make the results were more impressive. So we can remember these Mark Twain words: lies, damn lies, and statistics. There is a multi-billion-dollar drug industry which depends upon using this misleading interpretation of statistics, showing trivial differences between treated and control groups. Okay, so why focus on cholesterol? See, a number of clinical trials were carried out with different statin drugs. Fine. They generally showed small reductions in coronary artery disease deaths and also non-fatal MI in those who had prior history of CHD. Remember this, in those who had prior history of CHD. But these were never more than a few percentage points in absolute risk reduction. They have shown no benefit at all for those without history of prior CHD. Statin drugs exhibit their impressive effects because they're powerful anti-inflammatory agents. It is not because of cholesterol lowering capacity. It is because of anti-inflammatory agents, decreasing CV risk, regardless of cholesterol response, because they inhibit nuclear factor kappa B inhibition, the essence of our entire immunodefense system. So it is because of anti-inflammatory effects of statin. It is not because of your cholesterol. Then why this continued focus on cholesterol? So in 2004, when the NCP guidelines came, a lot of experts, they have some questions for NCP. So what they asked with NCP, the first question: the evidence does not support extending the guidelines to women of moderate risk. There is no data. Second question: the evidence does not support extending the guidelines to older persons without heart disease. There is no data. They claimed that extending the guidelines to diabetics without heart disease was unjustified by the evidence. They observed that tripling the number of people on statins in accordance with the new NCP guidelines provided no benefit to any patient with or without heart disease. See, cholesterol is perhaps the most important substance in our lives. The presence of cholesterol in this fatty double layer of cell wall membrane adjusts the fluid level and rigidity for both cell stability and function. See, in order to all your cell organs to function, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, nucleus, everything, there should be binding factor, that is cholesterol. And the human body produces 80 to 90% of its own cholesterol. Your liver makes cholesterol, your brain makes cholesterol. And that what you take in diet is relatively unimportant. See, vitamin D is sensitized from cholesterol by sunlight. If you have low cholesterol, it will translate to low vitamin D. If you have low vitamin D, you have high chance of dying with COVID, because vitamin D is very important to maintain your immunity levels. So that's why you should go at least 1 hour in sunlight to get your vitamin D, so that you have your good immunity. That's why a lot of people have nice immunity in summer and they have weak immunity in winters. So vitamin D is the most essential thing, and it is sensitized from cholesterol. Lower cholesterol translates to low vitamin D levels. Low vitamin D levels translates to low immunity. You have higher chance of dying with COVID-19. Okay, and cholesterol is the precursor of whole class of hormones known as steroid hormones. They are absolutely critical for life. Come on, cholesterol. See, your testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, everything is synthesized from steroid hormone, from cholesterol. If you have low cholesterol, low testosterone, low estrogen. See, bile acids, aldosterone. You know how important cortisol is? Calcitriol to maintain calcium metabolism. Everything is derived from cholesterol. If you have low cholesterol, just it will translate to low of these very important hormones, which is very critical in functioning of your life. And cholesterol is the essential component of membranes that surround all human cells. See, more than simply holding cells together, these membranes have a crucial role in regulating cell function and allowing chemicals to pass in and out of cells. See, you can see in this study, the majority of patients hospitalized with coronary heart disease are below LDL target levels. See, at least 50% of first-time heart attack patients have normal cholesterol levels. 50% of first-time heart attack patients have normal cholesterol levels. This study recently reported that nearly 75% of patients having first acute coronary events have LDL below 130, and nearly 50% has LDL below 100. So what do the statements mean with respect to cholesterol causing atherosclerosis? You can take a snapshot of this journal. You can read it on your own. See, and I am quoting another journal published in American Heart Journal. They studied 17,791 patients from 236 participating hospitals admitted from 2005 to 2007 who had total cholesterol levels recorded. Of the patients, 46% were on statins. Each 10 mg increase in cholesterol level, I'm reading again, each 10 mg increase, not decrease in cholesterol level, was associated with an astonishing 4% decreased risk in hospital mortality from heart failure. So if you have more cholesterol, there is less chance of dying with heart failure. They concluded that in patients with hospitalized heart failure, lower total cholesterol levels independently predict increased in-hospital mortality risk, and suggest that further evaluation of influence of lipid-lowering medications is warranted. Do you know why? See, these statins, they don't only block during this mevalonate pathway, they don't only block cholesterol, they block coenzyme Q also. This coenzyme Q10 is very important for your body. When the levels fall down, so it is very important generation of ATT. When your ATT falls down, your heart will fail. See, coenzyme Q10 is very important for generation of ATT, and your statin drugs decreases coenzyme Q10. If you are on statin, please take coenzyme Q10. It is very important part of your energy system. See, the brain contains 25% of total amount of cholesterol in the body. See how important cholesterol is to the brain. And cholesterol is over 2% of total weight of brain. If you want the brain to function, it requires cholesterol, period. And most of the cholesterol is in the myelin sheaths that surround the axons of nerve cells, protecting the cells and facilitating the speedy transmission of electrical impulses that govern thought, movement, and sensation. See, you can read this study. What the study showed, no? Low cholesterol levels lead to reduced serotonin levels in the brain. So if you have low cholesterol, you have higher chance of depression. That's why statin can cause depression. Okay, another study from the Royal College of Psychiatry paper titled "Low Cholesterol May Indicate Risk of Suicide." Lower cholesterol levels were reported to have higher levels of self-reported impulsivity. So the more cholesterol level, the low, the higher chance of having a suicide event in the patient's life. So you can read this journal article published in Psychiatry Journal. This is another research article. Okay, so your serum lipid levels, hypocholesterolemia is associated with suicide. You can take a snapshot of the screen. You can read this article. This is an article from Japan. Okay, so another article. Okay, what this research study is showing, you know. So anything tending to limit cholesterol availability, such as powerful statin drugs, must inevitably have an effect on neuronal synaptic formation and brain function. So your synapses are getting affected. Since synapse formation is mandated for cognition, not only is cognitive dysfunction likely with statin, it is inevitable. So if you can see a lot of patients complain memory loss. Some people even complain of TGA, total global amnesia with statins. Okay, because see, cholesterol is very important part of synapse formation and your memory formation, your cognition and everything. You can go through this research article. So this is another article. Okay, statins and dementia. Okay, so Dr. Stewart used data from this aging study and reported that decline in cholesterol levels was significantly steeper among men who went on to develop dementia. So hypercholesterolemia associated with dementia. You can read this journal article. So Frank announced to the world in 2011 the importance of cholesterol to the process of memory. So critical is this relationship that our brain glial cells have been tasked with the role of synthesizing cholesterol on demand to meet the needs of memory synapse formation and function. So they make cholesterol. The effects of statin on this glial cell function is quite predictable. Inhibition, inhibit. This results in transient global amnesia episodes in some, confusion, disorientation, increased forgetfulness in others, increased senility in those already afflicted, and permanent loss of short-term memory in others. Cholesterol is very important in synapse formation, for your memory, for your cognition. So hypercholesterolemia is associated with your memory dysfunction. You can go through this article. So Mulden, what he told, low cholesterol levels can impair normal brain function. Just see, mean total reaction time of men in the lowest category of blood cholesterol was 12.7 milliseconds slower than that of men with higher cholesterol. So the moment your cholesterol levels comes from 240 to 152 average, your reaction time is decreased by 12.7 million seconds. So you can have an accident also because you can't react that fast if your cholesterol levels fall down. We can go through this article. You can take a snapshot of the screen. Okay. So in this study, data was analyzed from 789 men and 1,105 women to examine the relationship between total cholesterol and cognitive performance. They found that those who had the lowest total cholesterol performed more poorly on tests of word similarities, word fluency, and attention and concentration ability than patients with higher cholesterol levels. It is not entirely surprising that lower cholesterol levels were associated with moderately lower levels of cognitive function, given that cholesterol is most important function in brain. So if you have low cholesterol levels, see how your cognitive function is coming down. Ralph Edwards is a medical director of VGBase, the World WHO Adverse Drug Reaction Monitoring Center. He announced that reality of excess of ALS cases in statin users worldwide. It's triggering ALS in some patients, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, even primary lateral sclerosis also. As reductase inhibitors, statin drugs are designed to block the mevalonate pathway of cholesterol synthesis. The effect of statin is to inhibit the sense of cholesterol, therefore inhibiting lipoprotein 4 also. It is very important to the communication between nerves and muscles. So you can get ALS also. You can go through this article. See, VLDLs are raised by eating carbs, not by eating fats. Okay. So you can go through this study. See, high fat diets lower VLDLs. You can check out the results from innumerable Atkins diet studies or any of the high protein, low carb diets. Carbs raise VLDLs, not fats. The landmark direct study showed that Atkins style diet reduced triglycerides by 40% compared to only 11% reduction in the low fat group. Direct study. The Framingham study, the longest lasting, the most respected study into the cause of heart disease, reported that in Framingham, Massachusetts, the more saturated fat one ate, the more saturated fat the one ate, the more cholesterol the one ate, the more calories one ate, the lower people's serum cholesterol. There is no link between your saturated fat consumption and cholesterol. Dr. William Castelli, director of Framingham study at that time in 1992. So what was the effect of such a startling finding? Absolute nothing, complete silence. To quote Winston Churchill, men occasionally stumble over truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry up as if nothing had happened. How true? So if you study the actual data from Framingham FHS, as I have, you will discover that association of cholesterol with heart disease is a weak one and holds true only for men under the age of 50. Above 50 years, lower cholesterols correlate with increased risk of death. Even 1 mg drop per year of cholesterol equates to 11% increase in overall death rate. So men above 50, the lower cholesterol you have, the higher risk of dying. If cholesterol is truly the driving force behind cardiovascular disease, why would falling blood cholesterol level drive an increased rate of death from the very disease it is supposed to cause? The question remains unanswered. Why there is increased mortality with decreased cholesterol levels in elderly? The question is unanswered. So during the years 1955 to 60, at the Framingham study, a prospective investigation of the nature of CHT, Dr. Mann undertook an extensive study of relationship of dietary habits to occurrence of CHT in adult men and women then 36 to 64 years old. Detailed dietary studies were recorded on a subsample of about 1,000 subjects by a carefully tested procedure. Ms. Pearson spent about 3 years interviewing those people. It was a meticulous enterprise. The data clearly showed no relation between dietary intake of either fat or cholesterol and your cholesterol in your blood. So there is no link between fat you take and cholesterol in your blood. Those data was never properly published because the findings were contrary to the position held by NHLBA. You can read this book. It is I'm quoting the exact words of Dr. Mann. There is no link between the fat you take and the cholesterol levels in your blood. So the same guy, Dr. Mann, in his article in New England Journal of Medicine, he told what about this dietary hypothesis, the greatest scam in the history of mankind. I'm quoting the exact words, the greatest scam in the history of medicine. You can read this NECM article by Dr. Mann. See, this is a old news article. See, although, just see how funny it is, Although there is no discernible relationship between reported diet intake and serum cholesterol levels in the Framingham diet study group, it is incorrect to interpret this finding to mean that diet has no connection to blood cholesterol. I'm quoting the exact words of Dr. William, who is the director of FHS at that time. So, although there is no relationship, he is contradicting his own findings. See, statins block the mevalonate pathway in the liver, affecting the distribution of other important items, which are very necessary for healthy cell production and operation. The most important is coenzyme Q10, a primary support for heart cell growth and operation. You reduce the cholesterol sensitivity by 50%, you reduce coenzyme Q10 by 50%. If you take statins, you must take coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is very important in ATP generation and for your energy levels. See, statin drugs are also known to suppress the nuclear factor kappa B response and thereby open a veritable Pandora box of unpredictable consequences. You don't know what are the consequences of inhibiting NF-κB because it is a very important part of immunodefense mechanisms. See, the statin drugs also inhibit dolicol, which is vital to the intricate process of neuropeptide formation, consequently another broad range of potential behavioral manifestations. Dolicol is very important in aging, and the statin drugs also inhibit the production of dolicol. See, after an 11-year study, the Surgeon General office could not find any evidence to support the diet hypothesis that saturated fat causes heart disease. So you can read this article published in AJCN, American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. The link between saturated fat and heart disease has been proven false. So there is no link between saturated fat and heart disease. So you can take a snapshot of this slide and you can read the journal article for yourself. See, another study published in JAMA, saturated fat doesn't cause heart disease. Published in 2009 in JAMA, saturated fat doesn't cause heart disease. See, another study published in NECM. This nurses cell study, a massive observation study from Harvard University, found no relationship between dietary fat or dietary cholesterol and heart disease. No relationship between dietary fat and heart disease. Published in NECM. You can read the article yourself. See, another article published in JAMA. Almost 50,000 women followed low-fat diet for more than 8 years. At the rates of heart disease and stroke did not decrease. Published in JAMA. 50,000 women followed low fat diet for more than 8 years, no decrease in heart attacks, no decrease in stroke. You can read the article yourself, published in JAMA in 2006. Another article published in JAMA. Despite 40 years of research trying to link dietary fat, dietary cholesterol, and heart disease, not a single shred of evidence could be found. Another article published in NECM, look ahead study. Okay, they have done this study with 5,000 obese patients with type 2 diabetes across 16 sites in US. Okay, so they gave a low fat diet to all these guys. So would it reduce heart disease? No. In 2012, the trial was stopped early after 9.6 years of high hopes. So if you follow low fat diet, no cardiovascular benefits, no decrease in heart attacks. You can Google look ahead study, published in NECM. Published in Circulation. In 1999, at the height of low fat mania, so low fat, the landmark Lion Dart Heart study sent shockwaves to the medical community. Patients who had suffered heart attacks were randomizedly assigned to American AHS low fat diet or the high fat Mediterranean diet, which is full of olive oil, nuts, and avocados. The results were unbelievable. The Mediterranean diet, which is a high fat diet, reduces the heart disease and death by a jaw dropping 75%. Published in 1999. So low fat versus high fat diets. Another article published in AJCN. Eating saturated fats does not lead to cardiovascular disease. I repeat again. Eating saturated fats does not lead to cardiovascular disease. Another article published in NECM. In 2013, pyramid study confirmed that patients on Mediterranean diet reduces the rate of heart disease and death. So high fat diets, so less heart disease and less death. Another article published in British Journal of Nutrition. Further comparison of different dietary habits in the countries of Europe in 2012 shows that higher saturated fat intake is associated with less heart disease. So the high saturated fat you take, the less heart disease you get. It is published in BJC. See, you can see this, okay? You can see the data. See this, see the green things, no? See, these are the countries, they eat a lot of saturated fat. See, like France, Switzerland, and they eat a lot of saturated fat. There is less heart disease. You can see the countries in the red, no? They eat less saturated fat, there is more heart disease. See, the French has the highest rate of saturated fat consumption in Europe and had the lowest rate of heart disease. And they call this as French paradox, and they attribute it to red wine. I have searched all these journals. It is just a hypothesis. There is there is no research study. There is no proof that why French have low heart disease in spite of having high saturated fat intake. There is only hypothesis. They attribute that to red wine. They eat a lot of vegetables, lot of antioxidants, all that things. But there is no research study to prove that. So it is just an hypothesis. So why this French paradox? They eat a lot of saturated fat. So why less heart attacks? Show me any journal article, okay? I don't want any hypothesis regarding that. See, Switzerland. After World War II, Switzerland fat consumption increased by 20%. And the heart disease fell. You can read yourself this journal article. So the more fat you eat, your heart disease fell. Published in BMJ, daily nut consumption. The nuts contain a lot of fat. Okay, associated with 35% decreased risk of heart attack. So if you eat a lot of nuts like walnuts, groundnuts, cashew nuts, less chance of dying with heart attacks. See, published in BMJ. This article is published in Lancet. See, some communities eat a lot of fatty fish. Okay, literally there is no cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes in their communities. They eat a lot of fatty fish. So literally no CVD and no type 2 diabetes in their communities. Another article published in BMJ. So they say that egg yolks, which are very high in cholesterol, they doesn't raise the risk of heart attack. If you eat egg yolks every day, even your heart attack risk will decrease, it will not increase. You can read this BMJ journal. See, I have quoted 3 studies in this slide. Statins reduce cholesterol and in some context adverse heart outcomes. But meta-analysis of primary prevention, not with pre-existing CHD. Clinical statin trials have found no statistically significant cardioprotective effect for women. So statins are waste in human without prior history of CHD. You can see all these 3 articles, all heart trial, everything. So our Prosper study showed that pravastatin showed that so there was a reduction in cardiovascular disease. The increase in cancer deaths completely offset the slight decrease in CVD. So though there was a reduction in CVD, the increase in cancer deaths completely offset the slight decrease in CVD. See, I've seen many journal articles, no? They quote CV mortality. Come on, see, whatever mortality, if you are, see, there's a mortality, you'll die. See, they say, so there is a slight decrease in CV mortality, but overall there is no decrease in total mortality. So whatever the reason of mortality, see, when you die, that's it. Fine. So you should see the total mortality instead of the CV mortality. Okay. So I'm quoting Professor Oliver. Finland study, 10-year follow-up showed that people who followed the controlled cholesterol lowering diet were twice likely to die of heart disease than who don't. So who follow low cholesterol, low fat diet, you have higher chance of dying with heart attacks. I'm quoting Professor Oliver from his book. See, high cholesterol is not risk factor for strokes. High cholesterol is not risk factor for strokes. Okay. See this article in AJCN. A 2009 meta-analysis demonstrated that saturated fat had no correlation to heart disease and offers slight protection against stroke. If you eat a lot of saturated fat, you have less chance of getting stroke. You can read this AJCN article. See another article published in Stroke. In Japan also, if you eat a lot of saturated fat, you have less chance of getting stroke. This article from Japan. So you can see this published in AJC and see the moment you increase your saturated fat intake, see this graph, your stroke and heart attacks risk also is coming down. Your CVD risk. The more saturated fat you intake, less stroke. See the cholesterol levels in Japan since World War II have risen by 20%, but the rate of strokes have fallen by 600%. You can read this article. So they're eating, their cholesterol levels are increasing, but the stroke levels have fallen by 600%. This is published in JCE. The gigantic MONICA study sponsored by WHO analyzed the relation between CV mortality and blood cholesterol in 27 countries. The same as the 7-country study by Ansel Keys. The results are similar. See, some countries like Japan and China have low mortality and low cholesterol levels, fine. Some countries like Finland have high mortality and high cholesterol levels, fine. See, but many countries like France, Germany, Switzerland, Luxembourg have low mortality rate at a high blood cholesterol level. And they call it as French paradox and they attribute it to red wine and some antioxidants, but there are no studies to prove that concept and that hypothesis. So why French, these guys, why these countries they're eating a lot of saturated fat, lot of cholesterol, but why low mortality, low CV mortality? So quote me some studies. I don't want any hypothesis with this French paradox. Okay. So this is published. Okay. See, when brain cells are deprived of cholesterol, they are 5 times less effective at releasing chemical messengers, says the research published in respected journal proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. If you deprive cholesterol, I'm quoting them. If you deprive cholesterol from brain, then you directly affect how smart you are and how well you remember the things. So it decreases your IQ also. Good. This may lead to depression and irrational acts. He believes that this is directly caused by disruption in the neurotransmitter release in the brain. Cholesterol is a very important part in your body. See another report. One report claims that women on low cholesterol diets they face infertility problems. This small study of 300 patients by Toronto Infertility Clinic says that cholesterol is essential for creating the sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone. Both estrogen and testosterone, they're made from cholesterol. If you have low cholesterol levels, low sex hormones, you'll have loss of libido, you'll have low sexual drive, you'll have erectile dysfunctions, you'll have infertility also, because all this require cholesterol to synthesize. If you have low cholesterol, higher chance of low sex hormones also. This published in Psychiatry. This study reports that cholesterol levels are significantly lower in people who have been admitted to hospital after harming themselves. Very good. Self-harm. So low cholesterol levels translate to self-harm, suicides. Very good. See, published in JAMA. See, this is a 8-year study. Okay. See, women health intervention study. See, they found that 25% reduction in saturated fat intake had no effect on LDL levels or heart disease rate. These women have taken 25% reduction in saturated fat. So no decrease in LDL level, no decrease in heart attack. And commenting on the study, so what the director of NHLB has stated, the results of the study do not change established recommendations. Women should work with their doctors to reduce the risks for heart disease, including following a diet low in saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. Never let the facts get in the way of good recommendations, I say. See what the study says, what this guy is commenting. So that's what delusions, 50 years of brainwashed research, that's what, even it's very difficult to believe also, all these things. Okay, published in QGM. Men over 55 and women of all ages who have the highest cholesterol levels live the longest, since high total cholesterol protects against CVD and infections. See, men over 55 and women of all ages who are having highest cholesterol live the longest. Cholesterol will protect you from infections also. Less chance of getting infections. So, Framingham study, there is a direct association between falling cholesterol levels and increase in CVD death rate. See, I'm quoting 2 studies. Falling cholesterol levels and increasing CVD death rate. See, till now, no controlled, no randomized study has ever been done in which raising HDL levels has reduced the rate of heart disease. Can you quote me a study which increases HDL, which decreases CVD? So hypothesis, the more HDL you have, it is very protective. That's what our hypothesis. Can you quote me one controlled, randomized controlled study which proves that by raising HDL when compared to a placebo, reduces the risk of heart disease? No. Till now, there is no RCT on this. Okay. So now enter our guys. Okay, our discovered CETP inhibitors. Okay. So if you do CETP inhibition, your HDL will increase. Good. So when your HDL will increase, our hypothesis, it decreases CV risk. Very good. See, in initial clinical trial with torcetrapib, a CETP inhibitor resulted in catastrophe of CV disease and had to be stopped prematurely. Okay, something clearly was wrong with the underlying concept. The plasma CETP values of 320 study participants were followed as these people went on about their life, and in some cases death from coronary disease, cerebrovascular disease, peripheral disease, or heart failure. The results were that a robust inverse relationship existed between CETP and CV risk. The lower your CETP, the higher the HDL, the higher the CV risk. So why the CETP inhibitors, why they are failing? So lot of studies, lot of inhibitors failed. So why there is increased risk? So you're very good, you're increasing HDL. It should translate to protected CV benefits, no? See what the study says. Another study, National Institute of Health. See, NIH study was terminated 18 months earlier than planned. 3,414 participants with heart and vascular disease were given either simvastatin and a placebo, or simvastatin and niacin, and followed for 32 months. So you have a simvastatin plus placebo, simvastatin plus niacin. So they're testing this niacin. This is called as AIM-HIGH trial. You can Google it, AIM-HIGH trial. Ended 18 months early because it soon became evident that addition of niacin had no significant benefits in heart attacks and strokes, even though it further lowered LDL cholesterol levels and raised HDL cholesterol levels, and it actually seemed increasing slightly the risk of stroke. So given the conclusion from these studies, even the most steadfast advocate of cholesterol causation has to eat the evidence and rethink their philosophy. Cholesterol, it seems, is irrelevant to cardiovascular disease. There are some other factors, and definitely it's not cholesterol. You're falsely attributing it to cholesterol. See, you added niacin, so there is decreased LDL, increased HDL, which should translate to more CV benefits. So why there is increased risk of CV mortality? And why NIH has to prematurely stop this study? See, niacin should translate, no, if you increase HDL, if you decrease HDL, it should be good, no. So there's something else we are missing. It's not about cholesterol. Fine. See, another study published in Journal of American College of Cardiology. See, HDL is involved in healing process. Right now, they're saying it is not about HDL. You should look for about lipoprotein ApoA1. It correlates with atherosclerosis, not HDL. See, if you want to see, look for your atherosclerosis risk, or if you want to look for your CV risk, you check for your ApoA1 level, not HDL level. And ApoA1 is a part of HDL. Okay, so it's better to check for ApoA1. See, these 2 studies I'm quoting. Okay, the higher your cholesterol level, the lower the risk of getting TB. So higher cholesterol, less infections. So they propose that cholesterol is important for adequate functioning of immune system in several steps, and call attention to the recent cell membrane work on lipid rafts to support this. In another study, the author demonstrated that a cholesterol-rich diet significantly accelerated the bacteriological sterilization of sputum during the intensive phase of the 4-drug ATT in patients with pulmonary tuberculosis who were hospitalized during 8 weeks. The result of the study strongly suggested that hypocholesterolemia, instead of being a consequence of the disease, was a deleterious factor for the host in its fight against mycobacteria. See, if you have low cholesterol levels, your immune system will be weak. You have a higher chance of dying with COVID. You can Google these both studies, okay? You can take a snapshot of the studies. See, this slide is very important, okay? I'm repeating. Please see the slide again, okay? See, atherosclerosis is often found in the arteries of lower extremity, but rarely in the arteries of upper extremities. Why so? You're saying cholesterol is present in the whole blood, no? If cholesterol is causing atherosclerosis, it should affect upper limb and lower limbs equally, no? Both are arteries only, no? Atherosclerosis is never found in the veins of body. Why veins are not subject to atherosclerosis? However, if you take out the veins and if you subject them to arterial pressures when used for CABG or AV fistulas for dialysis shunts, they develop atherosclerosis. So it is not about this cholesterol. It is something about these arterial pressures. There are some other factors. So veins don't develop atherosclerosis. But if you use the same vein in a CABG graft or in dialysis shunts, and they're subject to this arterial pressure, hemodynamic stress, they develop atherosclerosis. So these and other facts would seem to negate the possibility that atherosclerosis was caused by chemicals circulating in the blood, since that would bring generalized atherosclerosis. No. See, when you say there is a factor in your blood which causes atherosclerosis like cholesterol, which is present all over the body, then definitely vein cells should get atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis should be equal in both upper extremities and lower extremities. Why veins don't develop atherosclerosis? In the same veins they develop atherosclerosis when used in CABG grafts or AV shunts when they are exposed to severe high arterial pressures. So there are some other factors causing atherosclerosis. Definitely not cholesterol. See, statin drugs have been linked to over 300 side effects. Polyneuropathy, sensation changes, memory, speech impairment, joint pain, muscle damage, fatigue, liver damage, cancer, cataracts, sexual dysfunction, serious degenerative muscle tissue disorders, rhabdomyolysis. See, in 2012, FDA added new labels to statin drugs: liver damage, memory loss, confusion, type 2 diabetes, statin-induced diabetes, SID, and muscle weakness. See, 900 studies showed that statin drugs are dangerous. See, CHDs have been declining in general population, okay, which includes even non-fatal MI also. But coronary heart disease is not declining. It is remaining steady or even increasing. So people are having just as many heart attacks since 50 years, even more. But our emergency medical treatment has improved in saving lives. So what this framing studies told, our data indicate that decline in mortality was primarily the result of improved survival among persons with new cases of CVD rather than the result of substantial decrease in incidence of disease. So lot of statins, lot of decrease in cholesterol, there is no decrease in incidence of heart disease. So why deaths have decreased? Improved emergency medical treatment. Definitely not statins. So another, this I'm quoting FHS study. High cholesterol levels have been associated with increased mortality before the age of 50. But after this age, cholesterol levels in men and women show no relationship with CVD. Stroke or total mortality. Framingham study. Those whose cholesterol levels had decreased during the study experienced an increase in both CVD and mortality. Say above 50. So if there is a low cholesterol levels, higher chance of dying with CVD. I'm quoting FHS. This is published in American Journal of Medicine. Moulton has done nice studies, okay? He reported in medical literature documenting cognitive impairment in 100% of statin user if sufficiently sensitive testing is done. Cholesterol has very important role in your cognition. Okay, it lead to cognitive impairment if you're in statins. Published in Journal of Epidemiology. See, 12,000 Osaka residents of age 40 to 69, every 39 mg drop in blood cholesterol was said with a 29% increase in overall mortality. The lowest overall mortality rate was in patients whose total cholesterol was between 200 to 215. The highest death rate was observed in those whose total cholesterol was below 150. So, okay, so every drop in cholesterol is associated with increased risk of mortality. See, another study published in JAMA. See, MRFit. Okay, so they have taken these people, those in lowest cholesterol category, less than 140, had higher chance of all-cause death rate than all but the very highest category. The lowest mortality was seen in across 160 to 219 category. So you have higher chance of dying, okay, with lower cholesterol. See, another study published in American Journal of Medicine, Onder reached the conclusion that among older hospitalized adults, low cholesterol was an independent predictor of short-term mortality. In other words, for this group, the lower the cholesterol, the greater the risk of dying soon. Okay. Evidence from a Teja. See, evidence from multitude of studies was presented linking low blood cholesterol levels to increase in various cancers, hemorrhagic stroke, respiratory and digestive disease, and violent death also. So published in American Journal of Epidemiology, a study reporting on the association of low serum cholesterol with negative mood, decrements of cognitive function, and various types of aggressive behavior in adults and children. So it is affecting your behavior also. Very good. See, another study published in Japan. Japanese experience a lower rate of heart disease and the longest average life expectancy in the world. By 2000, total fat and animal fat intake in Japan had risen over 250% for 1961 levels. So the more fat you take, the less heart disease. Published in AGCN. In 1960, the leading cause of death in Japan was stroke. Since both stroke mortality and incidence decreased dramatically, animal fat and protein intake markedly increased. Blood cholesterol levels increased, while dietary salt intake and blood pressure levels decreased. So even the cholesterol and saturated fat increased, the strokes have decreased in Japan. See, Japan studies 1984 to 2001. Men and women with the highest intake of animal fat had a 62% lower risk of ischemic stroke deaths. The highest quartile of saturated fat intake had 70% lower risk of hemorrhagic stroke than those with lowest quartile. So higher saturated fat intake, lesser chance of dying with stroke. See, I'm quoting Annals of Internal Medicine, okay? See, NCEP experts cite compelling evidence that, and they recommend LDL levels below 70. So they say get your LDL below 70. On October 2006, after extensive review of all studies related to cholesterol lowering benefits by statin drugs, scientists reporting in Annals of Internal Medicine pulled the rug out from under the current government sanctioned cholesterol levels for reducing cardiovascular disease. What is the conclusion? You know, current clinical evidence does not demonstrate that titrating lipid therapy to achieve proposed low HDL levels is beneficial or safe. You can read this in Annals of Internal Medicine. See, next comes this familial hypercholesterolemia. Okay. See, remember, FHH is a genetic disorder characterized by substantial elevations of LDL with an inflammatory predisposition unrelated to diet and lifestyle. In many families, there will be an estimated high risk of premature CVD, even with cholesterol control. If you cholesterol control also, they'll die with CVD, indicating the presence of other inflammatory and prothrombotic factors. See, there are some other factors. There are some other inflammatory mediators, some other prothrombotic factors which play a role in FHH. Definitely not cholesterol. And common abnormalities of prothrombin, apolipoprotein A, and ACE enzymes have all been found in genetic study and FH families. Additionally, C-reactive protein, LPA, a powerful prothrombotic factor, are now well known to be very relevant to risk assessment, not cholesterol levels. Some people with FH have normal cardiac histories, while others have an elevated risk of premature CV events. We have learned that the reason is not cholesterol, it is inflammation and a predisposition to arterial thrombosis, completely unrelated to cholesterol levels. We're missing something, okay? There's something other factors that play a role in this familial hypercholesterolemia. See, if you want to screen them, these FH people, screen for high HS-CRP. If positive, it means arterial inflammation, high risk of atherosclerosis, not cholesterol levels. It is reassuring to note that findings of a British registry showing improvement in FH mortality beginning in early 1990s when statins were first introduced. So statins reduced mortality. See, this is because of anti-inflammatory effect of statins, not because of cholesterol lowering effect of statins. It is because of anti-inflammatory effects of statins. Statins reduce NF-kB effect. Okay, perhaps see we should use statins in low dose in FH patients also, not target to treat. So don't worry about these cholesterol levels. See, FH patients benefit with statin therapy, but it is because of anti-inflammatory effect, not because of cholesterol lowering therapy. And why? Because we know that statins have good anti-inflammatory and also anti-thrombotic effects with statins. So they inhibit this NF-kB response in your body. See, for those, I'm quoting this study, for those individuals who have familial hypercholesterolemia, there is no difference in cholesterol levels between those that suffer an early death from CVD and those lived in old age. So who are dying from CVD at early age, who are living to old age, there is no difference in cholesterol levels. See, other researchers have shown that FH patients who live to an older age actually have higher LDL cholesterol levels. So it's not about cholesterol. So you should check HSCRP, other inflammatory mediators, LPA1 levels. That's what you are checking FH patients. Definitely not cholesterol. And statins are beneficial because of anti-inflammatory effects. So don't go with high dose statins also. Low dose statins will have anti-inflammatory effect because you can't, because if you high dose statins, no, coenzyme Q10 synthesis will come down, dolichol synthesis will come down, so other side effects will increase. Okay, see, this is a beautiful Jupiter study, no? So this study, see this study, I will show Jupiter study in another angle, okay? See, the debunking of cholesterol casualty theory began in 2003 with this Jupiter study only. See, investigators began to enroll 17,802 men and women with no evidence of CVD and normal to low levels of LDL into trial. So they're not statin candidates. No CVD, low LDL or normal LDL. So the study was to test whether subjects with enhanced inflammatory response, HSCRP, will benefit with statin. At study entry, none are candidates of statin therapy. So no CVD, normal cholesterol levels. However, all participants had HSCRP greater than 2. So inflammatory mediator is high. So by all existing standards, negative history of heart disease and normal cholesterol levels, these people are not candidates for treatment of statin. So half of this group were given a placebo. The other half received a moderate dose of statin. See, 18 months later, the study was stopped by ethics committee because of comparatively high level of heart attacks and strokes in placebo group. This study showed that irrelevance of cholesterol to CV risk and the value of this new marker HSCRP. And it also indicated this strong anti-inflammatory benefits of statin. So it is not about cholesterol. See, Jupiter study, we have taken so many people, no evidence of no history of no CVD, normal to low levels of LDL. So no statin candidates, but they have HSCRP greater than 2. See, that's what you have to monitor, not cholesterol. And see, you see, just by giving statins, which has anti-inflammatory effects, your HSCRP goes down. See, literally how it prevented heart attacks and stroke. And definitely it is not about cholesterol lowering therapy. It is other effect of statin, anti-inflammatory action. So why to target to reach cholesterol levels? Why to target to treat? So even a low dose statin will do the same effect. Instead of 80 mg of atorvastatin, maybe 10 mg of statin will do wonders for these anti-inflammatory effects. So please check your HSCRP level, not your cholesterol level. If you want to know your atherosclerosis risk or CVD risk, please. Another study published in NAGM. Okay, this enhanced trial. Okay, very beautiful study. So they had taken 2 groups. Okay, one group only simvastatin, other group simvastatin plus ezetimibe in people with familial hypercholesterolemia. The study is done in FH people, FH families. So one group simvastatin, other group simvastatin plus ezetimibe. Very good. So they monitored atherosclerosis. That's what you're worried, no? The thickness and progression of arterial plaque of the participants was monitored for 2 years. The addition of ezetimibe to simvastatin, very good, lowered cholesterol when compared to simvastatin yellow group, very good. The endpoint is the growth of arterial plaque. That's what we want to know about the atherosclerosis. Okay, we're concerned about that. Surprisingly, to those convinced that cholesterol causes arterial plaque, the simvastatin plus ezetimibe group have lowest LDL cholesterol numbers, but there is slightly increase in arterial plaque overall. So at best, the addition of ezetimibe to simvastatin had no benefit at all, even though cholesterol levels are lowered. See how funny is this? They have done a study with FH group, familial hypercholesterolemia, enhanced trial. One group simvastatin, other group simvastatin plus ezetimibe. In simvastatin plus ezetimibe, there are low LDL levels, but there is more growth in arterial plaque when compared to simvastatin group alone. So more atherosclerosis with less LDL. See, this again proves cholesterol has no role in this atherosclerosis business. So okay, we are missing. See, remember, inflammation, sugar, and stress are the main cause of heart disease, not cholesterol. I'm repeating, inflammation, sugar, and stress, the enemies of heart health. You need to do something about these things and stop worrying about your cholesterol and dietary fat. The number one dietary contributor to heart disease, you know, it's sugar. It contributes to inflammation in artery walls. Reduce or eliminate sugar and processed carbohydrates in your diet, and you knock down inflammation and triglycerides. High triglycerides are far more dangerous for heart than high cholesterol. Good fat increases the big, fluffy, benign LDL particles and reduces the small, dense particles, which actually play a role in heart disease. Sugar, in contrast, has the opposite effect. So really, if you're so much worried about your atherosclerosis risk and cardiovascular risk, so you should more you should decrease your sugar level rather than your saturated fat, and you be more concerned with inflammation, sugar, and stress. See, the benefits of statin drugs have been widely exaggerated, and any benefits of these drugs has nothing to do with ability to lower cholesterol. It is anti-inflammatory effects, not cholesterol lowering effects. Statin side effects are grossly underreported. They include muscle pain, memory problems, cognition difficulties, cataracts, liver problems, polyneuropathy, impotence, and immune decline. As many as 15 to 25% of statin users may develop muscle pain, and often along with weakness, anywhere from within a few weeks to several years, even after the stoppage of drug. Statins inhibit the broad production of an antioxidant nutrient called coenzyme Q10. There is a big negative because coenzyme Q10 serves as a central agent in generation of cellular energy for generation of ATP. Without enough of it, your physiology suffers in many ways. Anyone taking a statin drug must take a minimum dose of 200 mg of coenzyme Q10 supplement in divided doses. See, really, if you want to care about your CV health, no, please check for inflammatory mediators. Please check your HSCRP level, check your ferritin level, check your fibrogen level, check your homocysteine level, check your LPA level, check your VLD3 level. Definitely not cholesterol. See, statin trials were controlled by drug companies who exclude patients of women of childbearing age. They exclude women of childbearing age. They exclude any history of drug or alcohol abuse. They exclude with poor mental function. They exclude some heart failure, arrhythmias, and other cardiac conditions. So would you be allowed in this trial? This is hardly a sampling of general population. See, right now, I'm giving another example. See, right now, we're getting a lot of reports that remdesivir is good in COVID patients. Have you seen the exclusion criteria of COVID, of remdesivir in COVID patients? So you should not use remdesivir in people with septic shock. Means if there are inotropes, don't use remdesivir, exclusion criteria. If your liver enzymes are elevated, don't use remdesivir. If there is evidence of hypertension, don't use remdesivir. If your creatinine clearance is less than 30 AKI, don't use remdesivir. So why the heck I want remdesivir then? So you'll use in mild to moderate patients and you'll claim success that remdesivir works in COVID. Have you seen the exclusion criteria of remdesivir in COVID patients? They exclude all these people. And they say that remdesivir is working in mild to moderate patients who doesn't even require treatment only. So that's how these trials, they're controlled by drug companies. See, use caution when reviewing mortal results. Total mortality versus CVD mortality should take precedence. See, if you're dead regardless of the cause. I've seen many studies. There is a slight decrease in CV mortality, but overall there is no decrease in total mortality. So what the heck is that? You're dead. Okay. See, overall total mortality begins to rise when blood cholesterol level drops below 180. Low cholesterol level showed significant association with deaths from cancer, liver disease, and mental diseases. The low cholesterol effect occurs even among younger respondents, contradicting the previous assessments among cohorts of older people that this is proxy or marker of fragility occurring with age. Please look for total mortality. Okay, I'm not concerned only with CV mortality. If you're dead with any cause, you're something like you're no more in this world. Okay, please look for total mortality, not CV mortalities. See, even taking the best possible figures from selecting trials and painting them in the best possible light, if you took a statin for 30 years, you could expect a 5 to 6 months of increased life. And that is only in men with pre-existing heart disease. For women, it is pointless and cannot extend your life even by 1 day. I am repeating it. Even taking the best possible figures from selected trials and painting them in the best possible light, if you took a statin for 30 years, you would expect a 5 to 6 months of increased life, that only in men with pre-existing heart disease. For women, it is pointless. I think I can't play this video. Okay, thank you.